What is up, everyone? Happy Football Friday. It is a college football playoff football Friday as we get that shebang started tonight in South Bend, Indiana. Indiana versus Notre Dame. Looked pretty cold there. I don't remember what they said the temperature was, but College Game Day currently streaming there on ESPN. We got a game going on right now as well. The Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. That is 6-0 Florida over Tulane right now. Barn burner there in the Gasparilla Bowl. Of course, I have the over. So 43 points to go in the second half. Love to see that. But yeah, let's get to it. We got some games this week. Bowl season kicking off. Scooter's Coffee Frisco Bowl on Tuesday, number 24 Memphis, 42-37. This was actually probably the best game I've watched so far in bowl season. Excellent back and forth. I thought WVU was going to come back and win. Garrett Green, unfortunately, throwing the interception late and sealing it for the Tigers. But it's cool to hear Rich Rod up in the booth talk about what he sees going forward at WVU as the new head coach. And, of course, Memphis is just a wagon in terms of the American Conference and Group of Five school. Garrett Green, though, 72.5%, 328, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 7 carries, 95 yards, and a touchdown on the ground as well. Seth Hennigan, 69.2%, 294, 2 touchdowns, 8 carries, 61 yards. His last game of his college career, 50 career games for Seth Hennigan there. C.J. Donaldson led the game in rushing outside of Green, 83 yards on 22 carries. 2 touchdowns, did have a fumble there, 2 catches, 11 yards. 2 touchdown night for Memphis. Running back Mario Anderson Jr., 1 through the air, 1 on the ground. And big receiving numbers for West Virginia's wide receiver Hudson Clement, 11 catches, 166, 2 scores. Demir Blankenship for Memphis, 4 for 120 and a touchdown. And Rock Taylor, another wideout for the Tigers, 5 for 116. Defense play of the game, I'm going with Memphis. Linebacker Elijah Herring, 10 tackles, 4 solos, 1 pass defense, 1 pick. West Virginia did cover, though, plus 5.5 by the hook, over 60.5. Easily 79 there. Boca Raton Bowl got Wednesday football kicked off. James Madison winning 27-17 over Western Kentucky. And I had JMU, but that's because I thought Caden Veltkamp wasn't going to play in this game. I believe he's in the portal. That's why it's so weird. You never know. These guys go into the portal, yet they still play a bowl game. I don't get that. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, the timeline is funky on the portal. Like, just, like the playoffs are going, but like guys are entering, and I don't know. They gotta clean that up somehow.
Yeah. 64.1% for Veltkamp, though. 302, 2 touchdowns, a fumble. JMU kind of running a 2-quarterback system in this one. Billy Adkins, more of the passer, 69.6%, 181, a touchdown. J.C. Evans completed his only pass for a 1-yard touchdown. But he was the running quarterback, 10 carries, 64 yards, a rushing touchdown. 100-yard night for their running back, George Pettaway, 14 for 100 even. Lead of the game in receiving, JMU's wide receiver Omarion Dawson, 6 for 82. And defensively, I'm going with the bottom guy there, JMU linebacker Gannon Weathersby, 4 tackles, 2 solos, a half a sack, 2.5 tackles for loss. Kyrie Mann's also a very good game. He was a co-player of the game, I believe. JMU minus 7.5 covered, under 50.5. The other game on Wednesday, the Art of Sport LA Bowl, number 24 UNLV, 24-13 over Cal. And Cal playing 2 quarterbacks in this one. CJ Harris, former starter at Ohio, got the start in this one, got dinged up in the fourth quarter, though. 13 of 20, 65%, 109, 12 carries, 23 yards. EJ Kaminong came in 31.6%, 57 yards, 10 carries, 18 yards there. Haj Malik Williams, is crazy. Like, he was not good at all, but they still found a way to win by 11. 27.8% for Williams. 96 yards, 2 touchdowns, though, 10 carries, 27 yards. They also had an incredible fake punt by their punter, Marshall Nichols, a push pass to a kind of middle screen, essentially letting everyone on the Cal block team rush and just throw it right over top of them. Got a 52-yard gain on 4th down there. Jay Knott, your leading rusher here for the Bears. 11 carries, 84 yards, and a fumble. Leading the game in receiving was also on the Cal side. Tight end Jack Endries, 7 for 61. Defensively, there's a lot of defense in this game. I am going to go with UNLV defensive lineman Fisher Kamak, though. 5 tackles, 4 solos, 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss, 1 pass defense. Jackson Woodard, also love Jackson Woodard. He had a good game as well. 3 pass defense. UNLV minus 3.5 covered, under a 44.5. Yesterday, we had the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. Sam Houston State 31-26 over Georgia Southern. And by gosh, I had the under in this thing, and it was so close. I'm happy Georgia Southern scored at the end, made it not as close, because otherwise it would have been a 1-point excruciating over loss for me. But luckily, Gasso scored late there. Hunter Watson was awesome for the Bearcats. 82.1%, 213 touchdowns, 16 carries, 24 yards, 2 rushing scores. JC French for the Eagles here, 60.6%, 212, 1 touchdown, but 4 interceptions, costly on the night, including a pick 6 in the first quarter. Did have a decent ground game, 16 carries, 34 yards, and a rushing score. Leading the game on the ground was Georgia Southern running back Jalen White, 16 carries, 90 yards, touchdown, 2 catches for 5 yards there. Simeon Evans for the Bearcats led the game in receiving, 7 for 85 and a touchdown. And another great defensive game here. I got to go with Sam Houston defensive back Jalen Jimerson, though. 10 tackles, 4 solos, 1 tackle for loss, 2 out of the 4 picks off JC French, and the first quarter 29-yard pick 6. Sam Houston plus 3.5 wins outright over 48.5. And the game that already finished today, Staff DNA Cure Bowl, Ohio, the MAC champs, getting a win 30-27 over the Conference USA champs, Jacksonville State. Wasn't really close until Jacksonville State had a hell of a fourth quarter. Outscored Ohio 13-3. Just could not get the ball back. At the end there, they scored with 3:35 to go and made it a 3-point game. Couldn't get it back. Luckily, they covered for me, though, +7. Not that that's going to matter because of the Florida game. But Tyler Huff, this was a weird game for Jacksonville State. Interim head coach, obviously, but they couldn't run the ball. Like, that is what Jacksonville State had been doing all year, is running the ball, at least once they started their winning streak. And they couldn't. 62.5% for Tyler Huff, 349 touchdown, a pick, rushing touchdown as well. I believe he only ran for 2 yards on like 5 carries, something like that for Huff, which is very abnormal for him. Parker Navarro, though, he ran all over the place for the Bobcats. 65.5% completion, 255 touchdown pick, 14 carries, 110 on the ground to lead the game. 3 rushing touchdowns for the Bobcats. Quarterback there, his running back Anthony Tyus III, also over 100 yards, 26 for 103. Did have a fumble, also caught 3 for 35 and a score. See that? Like I said, Trey Stewart, Tyler Huff, that was the duo, the rushing attack, and it was just the opposite because Ohio was the rushing team in this one. Trey Stewart did score twice on the ground, but held to 1.8 yards per carry there. The freshman wide receiver Cam Vaughn, another guy that's in the portal, had a hell of a day, 9 for 169 and a touchdown. Redshirt freshman, I guess. Jacksonville State wide receiver Jared Bowie, also over 104 for 105. And Ohio wide receiver Coleman Owen, he led the Bobcats in receiving, 11 for 141. Didn't have complete defensive stats from ESPN, so I I went with what they had. So I'm going to go with Jacksonville State, though, on the losing edge rusher, Curly Young Jr., 3 tackles, 2 solos, 2.5 sacks, 2.5 tackles for loss. And Jacksonville State did cover plus 5.5, over 56.5 by the hook. Into NFL action during the week. Week 15 closing, double header on Monday night. Vikings 30-12 over the Bears. And this one felt like it was a little sleepy from the Vikes for a little bit during this game. And then they kind of got it together there at the end. But solid win, keeping pace with the Lions and the Eagles at the top of the NFC there. But, Sam Darnold, 60%, 231, touchdown, a pick. Caleb Williams, this offense continues to struggle, 58.1%, 191, touchdown, and a fumble. And Eberflus has to be laughing. Like, he has to be laughing so hard, especially when they showed the graphic on Monday night, the Bears defense of before he was fired and after he was fired. The Bears defense has gone drastically downhill under interim head coach Thomas Brown. So, probably something there.
Yeah. Well, I think Eberflus is definitely a really good defensive-minded coach. I think just the question is if he's ready to be a head coach, which I'm sure he'll get another crack at that at some point.
Aaron Jones leading the game in rushing there, 18 carries, 86 yards, touchdown, 2 catches, 20 yards. You had Keenan Allen leading the game in receiving for the Bears, 13 targets, caught 6 for 82 and a touchdown, 13 targets for Justin Jefferson as well, 7 for 73 and a score. A lot of defensive stats in this one as well. I think I am just going to go with the top guy there, TJ Edwards, linebacker for Chicago, 8 tackles, 5 solos, sack, 2 tackles for loss, 1 QB hit. Second guy.
Go Badgers.
Former Eagle as well. Vikings minus 6.5 covered, under 43.5. The other Monday game here, Falcons 15-9 over the Raiders. Just a riveting game in Vegas. I think it was in Vegas. Yeah. Desmond Ridder getting the start for the Black Hole there. 59%, 208, touchdown, 2 picks, 5 carries, 28 yards. Kirk Cousins, it's over, bud. 64.7%, 112, touchdown, and a pick. Bijan had a good game, though. Bijan Robinson, 22 carries, 125, and a 10-yard catch along the way. Raiders couldn't really run it. Madison there, their leading rusher. Actually, Desmond Ridder was the leading rusher, but Madison, the leading non-quarterback, 3 yards per carry for him. Jacoby Myers led the game in receiving, 9 targets, 5 caught 5 for 59. And another game that there's a lot of defensive stats. Got to go, though, with the Falcons linebacker D'Angelo Malone, 2 tackles, both of them solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles lost, 3 QB hits. Falcons minus 5.5. They covered by the hook, under 43.5. Easily. And I had that. Last night, we had the Chargers beating the Broncos 34-27. Key game in the AFC wildcard rankings. Chargers moving up to the 6th seed because of this game here. It was a reverse of what we've seen from these two teams all year. Denver had been a second-half team, and they were a first-half team in this game. Chargers, the opposite. So it was weird. I lone wolfed the Broncos. We still don't have a lone wolf win on the Monday show. So, yeah. I don't know. There were just so many opportunities for the Broncos, and they shot themselves in the foot. The penalties, I know Alan Kirk kept talking about it, but it was horrible timing on a lot of the penalties that they had.
Yeah.
And, he can't give up a freaking free kick, fair catch free kick at the end of the first half.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think both these teams like have outperformed where like we expected them to be this year, to be honest. Um, and I think they're like one good offseason away from like actually kind of being like a solid like deep playoff contender. Um, but yeah, I mean, entertaining game for sure. A lot of positives kind of on both sides.
Yeah, Herbert here, 74.2%, 284, 2 touchdowns, a pick, 8 carries, 28 yards. Bo Nix, 72.5%, 263, 2 touchdowns, 3 carries for 25 yards. Gus Edwards, bro, where was this? Where was this when I needed you in the fantasy regular season? Like,
It's never when you need them.
like he didn't do anything in the fantasy regular season. Then he waits till the second round of the playoffs to go off. 14 carries, 68 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 yard reception as well. Big receiving night for Javonte Williams. Didn't get a lot of work in the ground game. 4 carries, 24 yards, but caught 7 of his 11 targets for 29 yards. Leading the game in receiving, though, is rookie wide receiver Ladd McConkey for the Chargers. Caught all 6 of his targets for 87 yards. And defensively, how about Broncos defensive end Zach Allen? 4 tackles, 3 solos, 1 tech for loss, 4 QB hits. Chargers -2.5, covered over 41.5, 61 in that game. College football news, the Ivy League. How about the Ivy League? They are going to begin participating in the FCS playoffs starting next season. So I didn't read the article. I'm not sure if they're getting an automatic bid or not, but it would make sense, I think. There's usually at least one Ivy by the end of the year that is ranked. I think that was Harvard this year. I can't remember who won the Ivy League, but I think Harvard and Columbia split the title. If I remember correctly, I don't know. But yeah, that should make it even more interesting for the FCS playoffs. Vanderbilt got some good news. Quarterback Diego Pavia, he has been granted an injunction against the NCAA, allowing him for now to play in 2025. It's not a final ruling. Just allows him to continue to work out and play college football until they get a final ruling, I guess. There was some question marks on his redshirting at JUCO somewhere along the line. I don't know. Bad news for Georgia. They are unlikely to have Carson Beck all of the college football playoff. Arm surgery likely coming for him. So Gunnar Stockton, go ahead. And I have no doubt that Kirby will get them ready. Kirby will get them ready for whoever they're playing, whether it's Indiana or Notre Dame. They have plenty of time to get them prepared. Don't play till New Year's Day night, really. So plenty of time to get him prepared. And it's not like he's a freshman either. You know, he is I think, redshirt sophomore or a true junior. I can't remember, but he's played in some games. So
Yeah. And he looked sharp against Texas. I mean, I think he had that one kind of bad decision on that pick.
yeah.
But apart from that, he looked really sharp. Gave them a good chance to win that game. So
I still say though it would have been nice to have Jaden Mayava at this point, considering he's just, well, not really, because he did start a couple games down the line for USC, but for most of the season he was just collecting dust on the bench for the Trojans. And yeah. Coaching carousel. How about Norfolk State? They have a new head coach. It is former NFL quarterback Michael Vick. That was a weird one. Rumors about Sacramento State bringing him in. And Sacramento State's like, we don't know what you're talking about. And so then it's Norfolk State. So HBCU football there. And Mike Vick is a college football head coach. Sure.
Just gonna recruit all dogs.
Temple has their new head man. They hired Sam Houston head coach Casey Keeler. Great track record at Sam Houston, bringing them into the FBS and winning a FCS national championship in 2021 as well with the Bearcats. So championship pedigree, looking to revitalize the Temple program that is they've been down for a while.
Yeah.
They've been down for probably a solid decade. It has not been great in Philadelphia for college football, really. Wake Forest has their new guy. I think great hire. They hired Washington State head coach Jake Dickert as their head coach. So only a couple or 4 seasons there at Wazoo. Not a great record. I think he 24-20, but coming off an 8-4 season with the Cougs in the Pac-2. And unfortunately for him, he couldn't get his quarterback to come with him, John Mateer. But yeah, we'll see what he can do with the Demon Deeks there. And UNLV, Coach Mullen, new head coach out there. He's got his defensive coordinator hiring former Mississippi State head coach Zach Arnett as the DC. Was the DC prior to Mike Leach's untimely passing there at Mississippi State, and became the interim head coach and then the head coach ultimately. But great defensive coordinator. So I think UNLV should continue their run here that they've been having. All right, let's run through transfer portal. A ton of movement. It just seems like every day there's like a million moving parts in this thing. Maryland, running back Roman Hemby visiting Indiana actually tomorrow. So it's an interesting time to visit. The day after the college football playoff game. Like, what if they lose? Does he say, no, I don't want to come anymore?
Yeah. The timeline is just so funky. I can't get my head around it.
Yeah. His former quarterback, Billy Edwards Jr., committed to Wisconsin. That's 2 quarterbacks for Coach Fickle now.
Yep. Yeah. Big get. I mean, I think some Badger fans were hoping for more of a splash. The reality is that, like, I really just want somebody who can, like, raise the competence level, like just raise the floor a little bit. And I think they did that. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see what he can do. Yeah, and I think Badger Nation has come around on it, as I've seen over the last, couple days or not.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty solid battle between Edwards Jr. and Danny O'Neill coming in for San Diego State. Pretty solid freshman year for O'Neill. But Edwards is just a gamer. I feel like he just balls, and he's a tough guy. And I think they can both move, but I think Edwards is definitely a better runner than O'Neill is.
Yeah. And that's also something I've heard and that I'm excited about, is him being a gamer. Just because, like, Wisco football, I don't think has ever had that. I mean, Russell Wilson was really good, but, like, I don't think you'd say Russ is a gamer. Like, they haven't had that guy with, like, a little bit of, like, an edge to him, a little bit of swagger. So I'm interested to see how that plays in this Grimes offense.
Miami quarterback Reese Poffenbarger, formerly of Albany before his year at the U, committed to North Texas. So really looking for a shot to start again, this time at the FBS level, after Cam Ward took the reins this year at Miami. Georgia wide receiver Ra Thomas in the portal, dismissed in August from the Georgia program. Sure. I mean, good luck. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's someone that's going to take him in the portal. It's just big time red flags with the amount of legal issues that he had been going through and the charges that were brought against him. Western Kentucky quarterback TJ Finley, former Texas State starter. He is committed to Tulane. Purdue tight end Max Clare visiting Louisville. Nebraska running back Dante Dowdell is in the portal. Houston wide receiver Joseph Manjack committed to TCU, staying in Texas there. Florida State quarterback Luke Cromenhoek committed to Mississippi State. Defensive end Patrick Payton is in the portal. He visited LSU. Alabama wide receiver Kobe Prentice committed to Baylor. Wide receiver Kendrick Law for the Tide, announcing he is in the portal today. For UNLV, quarterback Matthew Sluka visited Liberty. Edge rusher Fisher Kamak and safety Jalen Catalon, both in the portal, not sticking around for Coach Mullen. Bowling Green linebacker Joseph Sipp, he committed to Kansas. Sacramento State running back Elijah Tautoliver is in the portal there. USC wide receiver Zachariah Branch visiting Georgia. I am getting so excited anytime a wide receiver visits Georgia because they need it badly.
Well, Branch is he's explosive too. It's crazy.
Yeah. Receiver and in the return game. Jacksonville State safety Zechariah Poyser is in the portal. He is going to get a lot of offers, I think. He had an excellent freshman year this year for the Gamecocks and Ball Hawk City for him. I don't know how many picks he had, but seemed like he was around the ball quite a lot. For TCU, running back Cam Cook and center James Brockermeyer are in the portal. Wisconsin wide receiver Will Poling in the portal. Penn State quarterback Bo Pribula visiting a lot of places. Missouri, UCF, Iowa, Indiana, Ole Miss. One of the most highly sought after quarterbacks in the portal. I think he's the number 2 quarterback ranked by 24/7 Sports. And again, it's weird. It's weird because you see Preston Stone with SMU, right? SMU, he is sticking with them through their playoff run. Bo Pribula is not. So it's weird.
Yeah.
The decisions some of these guys make. I don't know why you wouldn't stick with a team if they're in the playoff, like, bro. Especially Pribula because he plays.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he just sits on the bench. Like, he plays a decent amount of snaps. And if you have a chance to go win national championship, why would you lead the team? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I mean, the only way I can think of it is if a guy feels like he can get better opportunities if he's just fully in the portal, which I don't know enough about like the reality of going into the portal to know about that, but that would be my only guess.
FIU quarterback Kewan Jenkins, he has withdrawn his name from the portal. Auburn corner Antonio Kite committed to Ole Miss. Texas A&M defensive lineman Joshua Salazar, previously with UCF. He's going back to Florida, USF this time. Oklahoma wide receiver Nick Anderson committed to LSU. LSU is one of the big winners so far in the transfer portal, getting Nick Anderson, who had a tremendous freshman year, 10 touchdowns as a true freshman. Injured this year, not a lot of production sophomore season, but looking to recoup next season with the Tigers. UCLA, a couple wideouts. Logan Loya visited Stanford and Cal, and wide receiver J. Michael Sturdivant committed to Florida. Really pissed at that. He visited Georgia as well. And yeah, I mean, I don't know why you picked Florida because they suck, but just saying. Idaho wide receiver Jordan Dwyer, a great lasting impression in the quarterfinal game with a big day. He visited USC, Washington, and TCU. North Texas wide receiver DT Sheffield committed to Rutgers. LSU wide receiver CJ Daniels committed to Miami. Colorado safety Trevor Woods and linebacker Nikai Hill Green are in the portal. Virginia quarterback Anthony Calandria visiting with Ole Miss. Washington State quarterback John Mateer committed to Oklahoma. A massive get for Coach Venables down there, having to replace Jackson Arnold. And Mateer was awesome this year at Washington State.
Yeah. Yep, definitely a big get.
Running back Wayshawn Parker for Washington State, he committed to Utah today. Liberty quarterback Caden Salter committed to Colorado. So we have Shedeur Sanders' successor, possibly. He will compete. He will have to compete for the job. Number 2 overall recruit in the class of 24, Juju Lewis, I believe, is enrolling early in the spring. So that will be the QB competition there, Salter versus Lewis. Kentucky tight end Jordan Dingle committed to South Carolina. New Mexico running back Eli Sanders committed to USC. Stanford quarterback Justin Lamson visiting with Utah State. Duke quarterback Malik Murphy committed to Oregon State. Fresno State quarterback Mikey Keene visited Michigan. Michigan also hosting Baylor quarterback DeQuan Finn. Utah wide receiver Micah Pittman is in the portal. UL Monroe running back Ahmad Hardy, coming off a great freshman season, committed to Missouri. Northern Illinois quarterback Ethan Hampton staying in the state, going to Illinois. West Virginia running back CJ Donaldson, wide receiver Hudson Clement. They both entered the portal after having great games in their bowl loss to Memphis on Tuesday. Incarnate Word quarterback Zach Calzada committed to Kentucky, so Mark Stoops has his next quarterback there. Georgia Tech wide receiver Eric Singleton Jr. visited Auburn again. He is also on Georgia's radar. I'm telling you, Eric, all you got to do is drive an hour and a half east. Nice little drive. Edge rusher Romello Haight is also in. He committed to Texas Tech. Louisville running back Maurice Turner visited with James Madison. Bowling Green running back Tyrion Stewart committed to Virginia Tech. And Arizona linebacker Jacob Manu today committed to Washington. So, yeah, a lot going on in terms of the transfer portal there. UFL news. Bunch of notable signings. One release, though. The Defenders released defensive back Anthula Kelly. Key part of their secondary the last couple of years there. The Arlington Renegades re-signing running back Letty Brown and linebacker Story Jackson. The Stallions re-signed defensive tackle Carlos Davis and running back Demetric Felton. And the Battlehawks getting their quarterback room situated, re-signing quarterback Manny Wilkins and signing quarterback Max Duggan and quarterback Chevin Cordero. So a triumvirate there at the quarterback position. It's going to be an interesting battle in camp. Let's go to NFL news. GM carousel. The Jets continuing their interviewing Senior Bowl director Jim Nagy. I believe he was interviewed last year for a couple of the jobs as well. Does a great job with the Senior Bowl every year. Players of the week, AFC offense, Bills quarterback Josh Allen. Of course, the Detroit game was his calling card there. NFC offense, Buccaneers quarterback Baker Mayfield helping shred the Chargers secondary. AFC defense, Texans corner Derek Stingley Jr. picked off Tua Tagovailoa twice in their win over the Dolphins. NFC defense, Packers rookie linebacker Edgerrin Cooper, integral part, tackling machine on Sunday night there against the Seahawks.
Yes, sir.
AFC special teams, Broncos wide receiver Marvin Mims Jr. Blanking on what he did last week for Denver. Had some great returns, I guess. And then NFC special teams, Falcons wide receiver Kadero Hodge Monday night blocked a punt and deflected a punt as well. So excellent special teams play for Kadero Hodge there. Clinching scenarios every week. It's that time of year. Chiefs, they can clinch the number 1 seed this week if they first win tomorrow against the Texans and they get a Buffalo loss or tie to the Patriots as 14-point favorites. Or they could tie and have Buffalo lose. The Steelers, they can win the AFC North tomorrow. All they got to do, win. Just win, baby. The Ravens can clinch a playoff berth tomorrow with a win or a tie against Pittsburgh. Or if they do lose, they need losses or ties by the Dolphins and the Colts. So, Dolphins playing the 49ers, Colts playing the Titans. Broncos, now they lost, but they can still clinch a playoff berth with some losses by other teams this weekend. Dolphins, Bengals, Colts, losses or ties, all three gets them in. The Chargers can also clinch a playoff berth this weekend. Dolphins and the Colts lose or tie. They will be officially in. 97% chance that they make it. On to the NFC side, the Eagles can win the NFC East. this weekend against the Commanders with a win or a tie. The Packers can clinch a playoff berth with a win or a tie on Monday night against the Saints. Or they can have a combination of a Falcons loss or tie combined with either a Rams or Seahawks loss or tie. Falcons against the Giants, Rams playing the Jets, and the Seahawks playing the Vikings. Commanders can also clinch a playoff berth with a similar scenario to the Packers. It's a win against the Eagles and a Falcons loss or tie, plus either a Rams or Seahawks loss or tie. Or if they tie the Eagles, they can still clinch a playoff berth with a Falcons loss, Cardinals loss or tie, Rams loss or tie, and a Seahawks loss or tie. But the Rams and Seahawks cannot both tie for them to clinch a berth. All right, schedule updates for Week 17. So we have the triple header for Week 17 Saturday. Chargers at the Patriots at 1 o'clock. Broncos at the Bengals 4 o'clock, and the Cardinals at the Rams 8 p.m. If you ask me, not very salivating schedule there on a Saturday. And we also have a Sunday night flex for Week 17. The Falcons at the Commanders has been flexed into Sunday night, replacing the Dolphins at the Browns. That game going to the 4:05 time slot. And it is QB change central this weekend in the NFL. Titans benching Will Levis for Mason Rudolph. Falcons benching Kirk Cousins for the rookie Michael Penix Jr. And financial implications for Kirk Cousins here and the Falcons. So if the Falcons cut Kirk Cousins prior to next year, the start of the league year, $65 million, dead cap hit. Boom, all at once. They could trade him. $27.5 million would go to the acquiring team. And then just 37.5 prorated dead cap. So that would be nice. They'd be able to split it over the next couple of seasons. Post June 1 release would mean a $40 million dead money hit on 2025 and a $25 million dead money hit on 2026. So it's an interesting decision for Terry Fontenot there in Atlanta.
Very interesting.
I don't know.
I mean, the tough part is just, I'm sure there are teams out there, but at $27 million, acquiring Kirk Cousins for that, it's pretty steep. I don't know.
It's a decent salary. I mean, it's not top of the market, but it's not like backup like 10, 12 million, right? So
Right.
it's like weird in between. Cleveland also making a change. Jameis Winston to the bench, Dorian Thompson-Robinson in as the starter. And on Monday night, Jake Haener going to the bench, Spencer Rattler starting for the Saints. Bunch of IR activations here. The Rams activated tight end Tyler Higbee. Texans offensive lineman Kenyon Green. Eagles activating the practice window for defensive end Bryce Huff. Colts getting back corner Juju Brents. Commanders defensive lineman Jonathan Allen. He is ruled out this week, though. Chargers, before last night's game, activated tight end Hayden Hurst, had a catch or two. And the Chiefs, big news, they are getting back wide receiver Hollywood Brown, making his Chiefs debut tomorrow for Kansas City. Guys getting placed on IR. Browns running back Nick Chubb, broken foot, done for the year. Falcons kicker Younghoe Koo. I didn't even hear what his issue was. I just saw he was placed on the list. And the Raiders losing a couple guys, defensive end Max Crosby and running back Sincere McCormick. And this terrible news, NFI placement, the Patriots defense tackle Christian Barmore, complications. I don't know, with the medicine he was taking or something, had the blood clots in training camp. and was allowed to come back eventually. And now he is having some issues again. So not a great situation for Christian Barmore there. Injuries. The Saints quarterback Derek Carr, fractured hand, unlikely to return this year. 2 fractures in his left hand. Lions. Some promising news for the Lions on 2 fronts this week. Defensive end Aiden Hutchinson, fractured tibia and fibula. He announced that he is on track to play the Super Bowl. If the Lions make it, he said he will be playing, which I figured that was going to be the case anyways. And they also got good news on running back David Montgomery. He got a third opinion on his MCL. I don't know. There's people who are saying it's a tear. People are saying it's a sprain. I don't know what to believe. But it's an MCL injury. They are optimistic, though, that he can return for the playoffs. So, no surgery needed right now. Sure. I don't believe that.
Yes, we need to get that third doc's credentials checked. We got to see him.
The Raiders, quarterback Aiden O'Connell, knee bone bruise he's been dealing with. He is trending toward playing against the Jags. Saints running back Alvin Kamara, groin injury, unlikely to play the rest of the season just based off where their record is. And it was a worse injury than what they initially thought. So probably seen the last of Alvin Kamara for the season, looks like. Ins and outs, 49ers running back Isaac Guerrero with a hamstring injury. Left tackle Trent Williams, both are out. Trent Williams unlikely to play the rest of the season as well. Kyle Shanahan said if he can go, he can go, but doesn't look like it's likely to get back on the field this year. And I mean, good Lord, the 49ers, your boy's starting this week. Patrick Taylor, the former Packer. they're down to their 4th-string running back. That's ridiculous.
Great. Patrick Taylor Hive, stand up.
Hopefully I can get him on waivers. He was a waiver guy that I just put in for today, so we'll see. For the Chiefs tomorrow, left tackle DJ Humphries is out. Good news, though, quarterback Patrick Mahomes dealing with a high ankle sprain. He is good to go. Full participant every practice this week, which was very weird. I think he was just a crybaby on Sunday, just saying.
He's faking it. He's setting up the underdog narrative.
Steelers linebacker TJ Watt with a low ankle sprain. He will play. However, wide receiver George Pickens dealing with a hamstring still, and safety Deshaun Elliott both are out. For the Ravens, the team they're playing, wide receiver Nelson Aguilar with a concussion. He is out. Wide receiver Rashad Bateman with a foot injury. Linebacker Odafe Owe with an ankle injury. Both are questionable. Cardinals left tackle Paris Johnson Jr., knee injury. He is out. Bengals, good news for them. Wide receiver T. Higgins and quarterback Joe Burrow, both good to go. For the Dolphins, wide receiver Jalen Waddle with a knee injury is doubtful. Offensive tackle Teron Armstead with a knee injury is questionable. Colts wide receiver Alec Pierce is out, as is Panthers rookie wide receiver Xavier Legette with a hip injury. Vikings corner Stephon Gilmore, he will return this week. Hamstring injury, missed the last 2 games. And for the Seahawks, great news for Seattle. Quarterback Geno Smith and running backs Kenneth Walker III, Zach Charbonnet, all 3 will play. Against the Vikings. And by the way, we got another score in the Gasparilla Bowl, and it is another field goal. 9-0. 9-0. The Gators are up now. 2-score game in the third quarter. 9-11 to go in the third quarter. Extensions. How about Cardinals paying their man safety Buda Baker 3 years, $54 million extension, $30 million guaranteed there for Buda. Much deserved, one of the best safeties in the league, and had been dealing with that contract situation for a bit. And finally, Mr. Bidwell gives him the change. A couple of releases. The 49ers, they released corner Ambry Thomas, former 3rd-round pick out of Michigan a couple years ago. He was claimed by the Colts. However, the Colts failed his physical. So Still looking for a team to go to for Ambry Thomas there. And the unthinkable happened today. The Ravens waiving wide receiver Deontay Johnson. It's just crazy how far we have come from starting the year out with Deontay Johnson as a Pittsburgh Steeler, going to the Panthers for a couple games. To the Ravens, he had one catch for 6 yards in, I believe, 2 games he played. And yeah, now he's on waivers, and the consensus is that he's probably going to get picked up. He's on a minimum salary, and so low cost addition for someone. We'll see what happens at 4:00 on Monday. A couple signings. The Dolphins, they signed former Colts wide receiver Isaiah McKenzie to the practice squad. Raiders signing linebacker Andre Carter II from the Vikings practice squad. Falcons signed kicker Riley Patterson off the Browns practice squad. And the Saints signed Chiefs running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire to their practice squad. Going to be elevated this week, I would think. College football playoff bracket. This is how it looks. This is how we're going down tonight. Starting off right here with the Indiana versus Notre Dame matchup. Winner plays Georgia on New Year's Day. Tomorrow, you got Penn State hosting SMU, 15 degrees in Happy Valley tomorrow afternoon. That's going to be fun. Winner plays Boise State. Tennessee at Ohio State. That one is also around 15 degrees for the night game tomorrow. Winner goes on to play Oregon, and Clemson at Texas. That one will not be 15 degrees at RFK Stadium there in Austin, but winner goes to play the 4th-seeded Arizona Sun Devils there. College football pick standings. Yeah, Jimmy and I undefeated last week, baby. 6-0. So I am still 3 back. You are 4 back, Logan. You dropped 1 below me. And it was because of your lone wolf last week. You took Western Michigan in the first bowl game of bowl season, and they lost by 7 to South Alabama.
Tough break. Tough break. Tough scene. It's all right. We up this week.
Yeah, well, you got to win to start out already. Staff DNA Cure Bowl, Ohio against Jacksonville State. I already talked about that. Ohio winning that one 30-27, so I am down a win. I'm down a game already this week. Jacksonville State, my lone wolf there. The game going on right now, looking good for us. Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl, Tulane against Florida. Gators not covering yet. They're 9-0 right now, but getting closer to the cover there. So we are all on Florida. And then, yeah, CFP first round game presented by Allstate. Number 10, Indiana at number 7, Notre Dame. 7 points for the Irish. I lean Indiana plus 7. I know I shouldn't. I really shouldn't. But I think that the Irish are going to run the ball very well. I know Indiana is the number 1 rushing defense in the country, 71 yards per game allowed. Crazy. But Notre Dame is the number 2, I believe, rushing attack in the country, or somewhere up there. They're definitely top 10, probably top 5. 225 yards per game, I believe, on the ground. And yeah, that's the key. I think they're going to run the ball very effectively against this Indiana team. And I think the defense for Notre Dame is going to give Curtis Rourke some issues, just like Ohio State did.
Yeah. I think I lean taking Notre Dame -7 here, just because I think this will be an entertaining game for like 2.5-ish quarters. I just think that Notre Dame will just have more horses, and they're just going to be able to pull away kind of a little midway through that second half. But yeah, I'm excited about it.
I'm interested to see what the stadium looks like. How much red are we? I mean, it's right up the road from Bloomington.
You got to. Oh, did you see they took a plane to get there? Everyone was giving them shit on Twitter because Indiana did that. They said you couldn't make the 3-hour bus ride to South Bend.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention Tulane game. Not that it matters because I have the over, but 49.5 for the Tulane game. Doing swimmingly there on the over. That one's on ESPN2 right now. This one total is 50.5, and I lean on the over. I think it's going to be close, but again, Notre Dame's defense is the key here. It's just I think Notre Dame should score 28 plus. We'll see what Indiana can score. 8 p.m. ABC and ESPN tonight. Tomorrow, CFP first round game presented by Allstate. That's what all four of them are. They're all presented by Allstate, just for preference. But number 11, SMU at number 6, Penn State. 8.5 for the Nittany Lions here. Like I said, 15-degree field temperature at game time in this one. I don't know. I just don't think the boys from Texas are ready for that cold, man. It's different. They don't play in it very often. And everyone and their mother wants to doubt James Franklin. Everyone and their mother. Everyone wants to talk about Kevin Jennings. That's cool. I'm going to talk about, how about Penn State defense? Tom Allen. That's what I want to talk about. Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
Kobe King. Those boys on defense, I think they're going to assert their dominance. They're going to hit them in the mouth early, and they're going to make it a smash mouth type of game because I think Penn State's going to run the ball just like they did against Oregon. I was very shocked at how well they were able to run the ball against Oregon in the Big Ten title game. Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen had both great games there. Relieve the pressure off of Drew Aller to have to throw the ball. I think one thing I haven't heard is a lot of talk about SMU's defense, but it is decent. Underrated for sure. But that's obviously you got to get it to Tyler Warren. Run the ball, get the ball to 44, and that's the solution for the Penn State offense.
Yeah. I was hoping. I wanted to pick SMU here just because I'm super glad they got in, and I do think a lot about them and a lot about this team. But I agree with you. I think that this Penn State defense is going to be able to handle them, especially very early on. I think that Penn State could have a blueprint to win this game very much in the way that like Clemson did, where the defense gets on them really early and gets enough of a lead early on to where it's just going to be hard. It's going to be hard for the Ponies to come back from that. But yeah, I'm excited. Should be a good game.
52.5 is the total. I do lean on the over. I kind of like the points in this one. Obviously, SMU has the capability, but Penn State does too. Penn State has had some games where they have scored 30, 40 points. I just talked about the SMU defense. Like, again, I haven't heard many people talk about that unit. So I don't know if they're like a ghost or something, but yeah. I would lean on the over. 12 p.m. TNT and Max. Third first round game here, number 12, Clemson at number 5, Texas. I do not.
Jimmy.
That's a big lone wolf. 12 points.
12
dog
favorites.
I don't fault Jimmy. Like, for one, because Texas hasn't been playing good. Like the last 2 months, really. They have not been a great offense. They've been getting by their defense and their running attack. But we saw what happened in the SEC championship game. Georgia shut down Quintravian Wisner, and then they got pressure on Quinn Ewers and forced some turnovers. So I think Clemson is just as good of a defense as Georgia is. And Cade Klubnik has been playing outstanding football. So I would not be shocked if Clemson went into Texas and beat them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why I would hit Clemson plus 12. I mean, and I'm calling my shot here. I think what's going to end up happening, I'm picking Texas. But what I think is going to happen, I think you're going to see Clemson, similar to the ACC championship game. I think they're going to be able to get up big early. I think that defense is going to have Ewers in some hell. Second half, Arch comes out, and the legend of Arch Manning is born as he leads them roaring back. I got the script, folks.
That's crazy. Crazy talk. Total is 50.5. I am on the over. I like the over 50.5. Give me some points in this game. Despite both defenses being pretty good, still think there's going to be some points. 4 p.m. TNT and Max. The final first round game, number 9 Tennessee at number 8 Ohio State. And you had to know this was coming. Well, I was going to pick Ohio State. Especially not in the playoffs. But I think it's a similar game to Clemson, Texas, really. I think, Ohio State is essentially Texas. Like, they have not been playing that well. Michigan game. Let's talk about that one. Love talking about the Michigan game. Tennessee, though, on the other hand, they've been just going along, and unfortunately dropped a couple late in the season and weren't able to get into the SEC championship game. But they have a blueprint to win against Ohio State. For being an SEC team coming up to the cold, they run the ball. Dylan Sampson's a dude. And Nico, unfortunately, with his youth, he has made some mistakes in the passing game. But if you can get a game like they had against NC State, you remember that one early in the season? They ran all over the Wolfpack. And Nico was a part of that running game. I think if you can get that kind of game from the Tennessee offense, run the ball, smash mouth, I think they got a great opportunity to win, because that's the exact blueprint that Michigan did, except Michigan doesn't have a quarterback on their roster.
That is one thing that Tennessee does have on them. That edges them out, at least. For this one, for me, I wanted to go Tennessee, and for me, this is very much a coin flip. I think these are pretty fairly matched teams. I mean, it's the 8 and 9, slot, so makes sense.
7.5 is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a lot. And I think a lot of what plays into that, and what played into part of me picking Ohio State, is the home field. If this were kind of a neutral site type of deal, I might feel differently. But I just think that I've seen sometimes this Tennessee team where, if primarily what they want to do on offense isn't working, that they get a little frazzled. And I think Ohio State is talented enough to where they're going to force them to be that way. They're going to have to try and pull different levers. And I'm just not confident in their ability to do that kind of on the road in a hostile environment like that against a talented team. But I think it should be a really good game, and I wouldn't be surprised in whoever ends up winning it.
I also think the Josh Heupel style of offense, hurry up, quick tempo, if they can get it going, that's a big plus for Tennessee, getting that Ohio State defense tired.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a really good way to get the crowd out of the game, too, if that's
coming. Total's 46.5. I am leaning on the under. I know that's crazy, talking about a Tennessee game and under. But the Tennessee defense is pretty good, too. So I would not be shocked if this thing is under. 8 p.m., ABC, ESPN tomorrow night. We also had 2 games on Monday. The Myrtle Beach Bowl, Coastal Carolina against UTSA. Roadrunners getting 10. And I just can't trust Coastal right now. They lost Ethan Vasco to the portal, a couple other guys as well. UTSA, to my knowledge, has all their guys. Kavorian Barnes is in the portal, but they have the most important person. That's Owen McCown. As long as they have Owen McCown at the helm, I will trust UTSA to get this thing done, and that's why they're 10-point favorites. That's why they're going to win in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, I do not know nearly enough about these teams to make an informed decision. I saw UTSA getting the double-digit points, and I took them. So that
The total for that one there is 55.5. I like the over. That's 11 a.m. 11 a.m. on Monday morning. ESPN. Get up early for that one. Don't go to work. Famous Idaho Potato Bowl on Monday as well. Northern Illinois, Fresno State in Boise, Idaho. Yeah, it's probably going to be a cold one. I would give the weather advantage to NIU because he's from Illinois, so definitely a lot colder weather than Fresno, California. But this one's tough. Neither team has their quarterback. Ethan Hampton for NIU, transferring to Illinois. Mikey Keene still looking for his spot, but in the portal nonetheless. And Fresno has lost more for sure. They've lost a couple guys other than Mikey Keene. So I just trust Thomas Hammock and the old school Rusty's Huskies because Rusty's Huskies have kind of moved around this year. But going back to my team in the NIU.
Yeah.
And we have a touchdown in the Florida game.
But good Lord.
Zero. Go ahead. What were you going to say about NIU?
Yeah, I got a soft spot in my heart for the Huskies. That's why I lean them here. They're an interesting team. Obviously, it's like, I mean, apparently they can beat the best. They went into South Bend and did it. So I think if they wake up on the right side of the bed for that game, they'll be able to pull it out.
On the blue turf. Totals 39.5. 39.5. Again, I have no clue what the quarterback play is going to look like in this game. Sure, let's lean under. Why not? 2:30 p.m. on ESPN Monday. FCS semifinals, number 3, South Dakota State at number 2, North Dakota State. They're lone wolfing the team and for its 10th national championship.
Yeah. I'm going with the tried and true, the traditional. I think they're going to re-solidify themselves as the dominant force in the FCS playoffs.
Yeah, in the Fargo Dome. This is a rematch. These two teams played in the regular season. North Dakota State got South Dakota State. I think it's a big revenge game for Mark Gronowski and the Jackrabbits. And to be honest, North Dakota State, I feel like, has been iffy in the playoffs. They got down to Abilene Christian in the first round, or in the second round. And then the quarterfinal last week, they beat Mercer by 24, okay? But I don't feel like it was convincing. Mercer was playing a freshman quarterback, and I thought NDSU should have won by more. But they covered for me, which is what matters the most. But yeah, I've been on the Jackrabbits for 2 years now. We're looking for a third straight national title. Mark Gronowski's a baller, and they got some new guys in there. Amara Johnson, Angel Johnson at running back. Griffin Wilde at wide receiver is awesome. Tucker Large, the safety on defense, is also very good. I think they're going to stifle Cam Miller, and that Bison offense get the win in this one. Go to their third straight national championship in Frisco. Total here is 48.5. I like the over. 12 p.m. ABC, ESPN Plus tomorrow. The other semi, number 4, South Dakota at number 1, Montana State. Bobcats getting 8. The Bozeman, Montana crowd, they're going to be wild like they always are. And I don't know how this team doesn't win the national title this year. I know I like the Jackrabbits, but touchdown Tommy, I don't know if it's been announced yet, but he is probably a shoe-in to win the Walter Payton Award, the FCS Heisman. And this team is just unstoppable. I mean, running the ball, passing the ball, defense is great. It doesn't matter. And unfortunately, the Coyotes are, I think, by far the weakest team of the 4 that are left. Total in this one's 56.5. I am going with the over. I mean, Montana State, I don't know what their average is in the playoffs, but it feels like they've been scoring 50 plus every game. 3:30 ABC and ESPN Plus. NFL pick standings. Yes, sir. Back on top, baby. Got you by 1, Logan, last week. So I'm up by 1, and John is down by 4, and Jimmy, I say this every week, but he has fallen and still has not gotten up yet for about 4 weeks. So you actually got your one lone wolf right. You got the Texans right over the Dolphins. John went
really.
Yeah, John went 1-1. He got the Bucks right against the Chargers, lost the Seahawks against the Packers. The reason why I got you in the total was because I was right on all 3 of the splits. The Jets-Jags game, I picked the Jets. Got the Eagles right against the Steelers in the battle for Pennsylvania. I got the Bills right against the Lions.
That'll do it.
Yeah. You are only right on 1 of those, the Eagles game. All right, tomorrow, Texans at the Chiefs. Back-to-back weeks, dude.
I'm ready.
This line started out -1, Houston, early in the week with the uncertainty of Patrick Mahomes. He's playing, and that sure flipped my pick.
I don't care if he's playing or not. I believe in Mr. D'Amico Ryans and the Texans. It's been an interesting season. You know, I think there have been some ups and downs, some points where I think they haven't played up to their standard, but I think they're going to even out here, and they're still 9-5. They're still a dang good football team, and I think that Mahomes will be banged up enough to where he won't be as mobile. And the Chiefs' offense hasn't been great this year. And now that's an insane thing to say because obviously they're 13-1. And like you just get this feeling that they have something and they're going to open up the can in the playoff. But we're not there yet. So I'm taking the Texans. I think it'll be a good game. I think Texans pull out a close one.
Well, I can tell you what the Chiefs have. They have Taylor Swift's voodoo priestess magic on their side because they're
like they got something. Yeah,
they're like 10-0 in one-score games this year.
Yeah.
So it's
I freaking love those tweets. Whenever something insane happens that ends up them winning like a 1-score game, and they're like, you're like there's some kind of cult underneath Arrowhead Stadium doing some shit.
It's led by the what's that? The Chiefsaholic. That's who it's led by. 42.5 here total tomorrow. I assume it's going to be cold in Kansas City. I don't know. I'll go with the under. I like the under. 1 p.m. NBC and Peacock. Steelers at the Ravens. Winner essentially wins the AFC North. Ravens aren't guaranteed. Steelers, they do it. So, Steelers got them earlier in the year, a couple weeks ago. And guess what? Lamar, I believe, has only won once against the Steelers in his career. And we're going to keep it that way. I don't care if it's on the road. I don't care if we don't have George Pickens. It's been a little rough without Pickens. But, look, they still beat Cincinnati. They still beat Cleveland. They couldn't beat the Eagles because the Eagles are actually a good team. The Ravens are an okay team, I guess. But whenever Lamar Jackson looks across the field and he sees number 90, it's over. He can't play against T.J. Watt, and he struggles mightily against Steelers defense. So, yeah, give me +6.5. I love that number.
Yeah, I think at home, coming off of a cupcake win, I think they're going to be hitting their stride. I like the Ravens here.
44.5 is the total. Give me the under. 4:30 on Fox. Sunday, we got the Eagles at the Commanders. The Eagles win. They win the NFC East, and we all think they will yeah, I mean it's not great business to light a fire under a man of AJ Brown's size. So yeah, I mean the media did this. The media did this, and he's gonna make sure you know it.
Yeah, I think the Commanders I think are another one of those teams that outperformed our expectations for them this year. I think they're like one or two off seasons away from being like a Super Bowl deep playoff kind of contender, which I think the Eagles are, and I think it's just gonna be hard for Washington to match up.
And by the way, Saquon Barkley needs 139 yards a game to break Eric Dickerson's record the last 3 weeks. He said he doesn't care about the record, which I applaud. But at the same time, sir, I want you to do it. And he has 3 fantastic matchups in division, all 3 bottom third of the league in rush defense. Commanders are 30th, I believe. So, yeah, go ahead, Saquon. Get a good chunk out of it. 200 plus in this one, bud. 45.5 here total. I'm leaning on the under. Eagles defense shuts it down. Cardinals at the Panthers. How many times have we seen this from Jimmy this year? He loves Lone Wolf in the
Panthers. Bryce Young Hive, let's go.
They just lost last week in one of their worst games of this stretch that Bryce had been having. I just the Cardinals are on a roll, to be honest. I know they're only 7-7, but they still got a lot to play for. 2 games back in the wild card, 1 game back in the division, but they have ran the hell out of the ball. James Conner, Kyler Murray. You put Emari DeMarcado back there. Trey Benson's out for this game, but it doesn't matter who you put in the Cardinals' backfield right now. This offensive line's moving people, and the Panthers, unfortunately, are last in the NFL in rush defense. So, great time to have James Conner in fantasy.
Yeah, it is. But I like this lone wolf from Jimmy. I'm not gonna lie. I ended up going with the Cardinals here, and I still think they're gonna ultimately win. But I think this could be one of those weird, like fluky games where it's like a bit of a coin toss. And late in the season, Panthers are at home. I could see the Cardinals just dropping their eye on taking their eye off the ball on this one. But we'll see.
47.5 is the total, and I'm gonna go on the under. Cardinals defense actually really good. Rams at the Jets. We are all on LA. I like -3. Aaron Rodgers playing really well right now, but I believe in the Rams. 46.5 here total. I like the over. I think there's going to be some points scored.
Yeah.
Giants at the Falcons. I still cannot believe this thing's at 9. That's ridiculous. Really? Did Vegas not know that a rookie quarterback is playing for the Falcons in this one?
Yeah. It's going to get eyeballs, yeah.
Like, I thought, well, granted, I guess I was crazy because I thought the Giants would cover last week. I thought 16.5 was way too much in an NFL game, even though they were playing the Ravens. They didn't cover, but the Falcons are definitely not the Ravens. And with a rookie quarterback, I like the Giants +9. Drew Lock's the starter. Tommy DeVito's healthy now, so he's going to be the backup. The Giants are trash, but against a rookie quarterback, their defense is still not horrendous. So I like +9, but Falcons should be able to win. Run the ball with Bijan. Protect your rookie quarterback. 42.5 here. I'm going to go under. It's a rookie quarterback. Under 42.5. Browns at the Bengals. Yeah, I like the Bengals, and I like the Bengals to cover. They're playing against Dorian Thompson-Robinson. That's all you got to say.
I can't. My ears can't hear this DTR slander.
Is it really going to be better than Jameis? No, it's not. It's not.
I mean, he'll have more running yards and less interceptions.
Will he have less interceptions? Are you sure about that?
I'm fairly confident. I do trust that. He'll have at least one, but
the issue with the difference between the two is air yards. When DTR plays, there isn't a lot of deep shots. Jameis doesn't care. He'll throw it. He'll throw it a mile. And I mean, that's also physical talent as well. DTR just doesn't have near as big of an arm as Jameis does. But I think that's why Jared Jeudy is going to struggle because it's just they're not going to have the deep shots that they have with Jameis. So
we need our best scientific minds to just combine Jameis Winston and DTR into one good quarterback.
You need to put DTR's mind in
yes. Yeah.
46.5 here is the total. I am going to lean on the under. I think it's just under. Don't trust the Browns to score, but the Browns defense. But still, Bengals cover 9. I like that. Titans at the Colts split. And I have been on the Titans suck train all year, right? And I would have again, but Mason Rudolph's playing. And
oh man,
this team has looked worlds better when Mason Rudolph is back in the backfield. So I don't believe Anthony Richardson at all. And I like Mason Rudolph to he's done it before, Logan. This time of year, just last season, I watched it in person. Right around Christmas. He has his own song. It's Rudolph, the red-nosed quarterback.
There you go.
And he gets it done right before Christmas.
That it is, I didn't take that into account. That this is his time of year. But I am an Anthony Richardson truther in house divided fashion here. So yeah, I'm going Indy.
Oh, we have more points scored in the Gasparilla Bowl. There's another 3 points.
We're going for
19-0 for Florida.
3 points closer to that over.
Well, yeah, I only need 30 more in 10 minutes to go. Yeah, total in this one, a nice 42.5. Give me the under. Lions at the Bears. Not much to say. I like Lions to cover.
Yeah. I mean, the Lions are running a mash unit out there, and I mean, I'd still take them over what the Bears are running out right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're just going to outscore them. Fine. We don't need to play defense, except when you're playing the Bills. 47.5 is the total. That's why we don't need to play defense. Over 47.5. Yes. 405 slot. 1 game. Vikings at the Seahawks. I know Gino's playing. I know Kenneth Walker's playing. I know Zach Charbonnet's playing. But I am smashing Vikings -3. I think the Vikings are a much better football team than the Seahawks. And who knows how healthy really Gino is. I mean, he looked like he was in severe pain last week. So I do not trust his knee is 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think Minnesota's a good football team, just period. I think that you can't get to this record at this point and just not be, honestly. I think they're still beatable for the other teams in the playoffs. And I know the Seahawks are kind of on that fringe. But I just think Minnesota has more horses, to be honest. And like you said, I think what's going to play a big factor is Gino's health. And I'm just not sure he's going to be 100%.
42.5.
The line for sure has been terrible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 42.5 here. That's a tough one. I think that's going to be pretty close in this game. I think I'm going to go with the over. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. 425 slate Patriots at the Bills. I lean on Patriots +14. Partly because I'm playing Drake May as my quarterback in the consolation bracket. So that's part of it. There was not many other options on the waiver wire. So we're rolling Drake May because I'm not playing Geno Smith against the Vikings defense. Yeah. I don't know. 14 just I think the Patriots are a decent enough team and it's the division opponent. 14, they can cover.
I think under normal conditions, I'd agree with you. I think the difference is that, like, I think this is possibly the worst Patriots defense I've seen in a while. And this is the best Josh Allen's looked. I mean, he's just MVP caliber. Almost doesn't do it justice in some cases. So yeah, I don't know. I could see them winning like by 3 touchdowns or something.
Yeah, on the opposite side of my consolation bracket matchup in one league, I have Josh Allen as my starter in my dynasty league, and he was the catalyst to me scoring 228 points last week in my first round win. So, hitting the number 1 seed this week. I'm the 6th seed. I'm the I'm the last seed in the playoffs. We're rolling up against the number 1 with Josh Allen in tow. So
2010 Packers, baby, shock the world.
46.5 is the total. I like the over. Another split here. Jags at the Raiders. I mean, if you're watching this and you're not a fan of either of these two teams, you're gross.
Sicko. It's sicko moments. I might keep an eye on it for draft implications. I don't know. This is, the fight for the top pick.
This is so Aiden O'Connell should play, Coach Pierce said. I have liked what I've seen from Mac, though. I think the Jags haven't been horrendous. They won a 10-6 game against the Titans 2 weeks ago and lost a close one to the Jets last week in a high-scoring affair. So I think they have enough weapons still on offense that this Raiders defense, without Max Crosby, I like Mac Jones and Brian Thomas.
I think Aiden O'Connell is the only individual in this entire game who has anything to play for because he's trying to keep Shedeur Sanders out of town, or Cam Ward, whoever you have as a QB1. Yeah, I don't know. You could flip a coin, and I think that's who wins.
40.5 under. 49ers at the Dolphins. Yeah, Miami's trying to keep their slim playoff hopes alive. So are the 49ers, to be honest, in the NFC West, because they can no longer get into the wild card, I believe, mathematically. They are three back of the Commanders. So long shot for both teams for the playoffs, but I don't trust this 49ers defense. They've had so many injuries, and while Tua played like crap last week, I still blame Tyreek Hill for the last interception. You have to have stronger hands than that because you caught the ball first before Derek Stingley wrestled it away from you. So I think Tua plays better, and they're at home, so I like the Finns to get this.
Yeah. I mean, it's always a good spot for you when you can lone wolf the favorite. That's, the mathematics are on your side there. But, yeah, I don't know. I still just think, like, head-to-head, I think the 49ers are a better team, even though they're, like, insanely banged up and, like, much different from the 49ers that we're used to. Yeah, I mean, this is a really interesting game, actually, even though both these teams likely aren't going to be in the playoff. Like, they're both facing they're talented teams with good offensive-minded head coaches that are facing, like, a large level of dysfunction within that kind of their team. There's, like, a lot of frustration, I think, with how this season has gone. So how they handle this game, I think, is going to say a lot kind of about how their season ends. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah.
Yeah, two ingrained storylines here. Shanahan disciple, Mike McDaniel, on the sidelines for the Dolphins. And I know Devon Achane is the leading running back for the Dolphins, but you also have former 49ers running back Raheem Mostert in the backfield. So
family ties.
Yeah. 44.5 is the total. I like the over. Give me some points in that one. Sunday night, Bucks at the Cowboys. I like Bucks -4. Hammer it home there. Cowboys also, I guess, technically can still make the playoffs somehow. But Bucks are in a good spot. One game up on the Falcons in the NFC South. And they're playing excellent football right now. Baker Mayfield should shred this Cowboys secondary.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd hammer the Bucks. I mean, we've seen what their offense is capable of. I don't think Cooper Rush is going to be able to keep pace with that, and I don't think that the Cowboys defense is going to be able to stop it. So,
plus Dallas at home, not a great time this year.
Yeah, that's the sun.
It's at night. the moon coming in there. Total for that one, 48.5. I lean on the over 820 NBC and Peacock. Best bets of the week. Got back to my winning ways after 2 straight. I believe it was 2 straight 1 and 2 weeks. No, just one 1 and 2. So last week I got the Chiefs -4.5 right at the Browns. They won by 14. I got the Broncos -4 against the Colts right as well. Lost the Commanders -7.5 at the Saints. I still hate that game because I don't know what the Washington was doing. But yeah, so I really enjoyed the 3 that I got this week. So Rams -3 at the Jets. I think that's low enough number. I like the over in that game. So I think that the Rams should be able to put some points on this Jets defense that has just not been it this year. Vikings -2.5. I got that line early in the week, so love that. It's 3 right now. Still like that at the Seahawks. Again, I don't trust Gino's health, and the Vikings are just a much better team. And we just talked about the Bucks -4 at the Cowboys. Really like that. Dallas struggled at home this year, and Bucks are on fire. Great record, 30-14-1. Rolling along. Lock standings, dude. We have been crazy in locks, man.
Yeesh.
It is 3 straight weeks we have all hit. And last week it was kind of a caveat because you, Jimmy, and I, we were all on the Chiefs last week, and we got it done. And John, he went with the Bengals beating the Titans. So Chiefs beating the Browns there. John is on the Bengals again. Jimmy is joining his bandwagon this week. So they are going the Bengals against the Browns. They are just like you, sir, a 9-point favorite, taking the lock there with the Falcons against the Giants. You are bold picking a rookie quarterback. I would not do that. I'm going with one of my best bets, Vikings. I like the Vikes. Vikes, I think I have picked the most out of all my locks this year. I think I picked them about 4 times, maybe 5. No, actually, it's only been 3 times. Yeah, so 3 times, but yeah, solid. Dog standings. I'm Dion, man. I'm coming, Logan.
Man,
1.5. 1.5 back. I was the only one to win a dog last week. Why? Because you, sir, went with the Jags plus 3.5 against the Jets. Aaron Rodgers won by 7. I believe it was in that game. Jimmy went with the Steelers plus 5.5 at the Eagles. Best side, east side of Pennsylvania. Go Birds. And John, I don't know why he picked his own team back-to-back weeks. Seahawks plus 3 against the Packers. That worked out very well for him. So I am now 1.5 games back. Couple weeks to go. 3 weeks to go. Let's see if I can make it. I think Jimmy and John have been eliminated. John definitely. Jimmy is 6 back, so best he can do is tie you. What we got this week? You're on the Texans plus 3.5 at the Chiefs. Lone Wolf tomorrow. I am also on my Lone Wolf, the Steelers, plus 6.5 at the Ravens. We can lose together, Logan. It's okay. Or you can just lose. Jimmy he's doubling down on the Panthers, plus 4.5. I'm actually going to give him plus 5 because that's what that is now, plus 5 against the Cardinals. John's on the 49ers plus 1.5. He got that early in the week at the Dolphins. That's a tough cover if they don't win. All right, that is the show for today. Next week, talk about NFL Week 17. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FA Podcast on Instagram and XFA_bets on X as well. FAPodcast.com is our website. Check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram as well. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Enjoy your college football playoff weekend, and we will see you all back on Monday.